Imagine working as a caregiver, someone who took care of the elderly. One day, you found out that your friend mysteriously stopped going to work, so you were assigned to take care of this old man who lived in a seemingly abandoned house. At first, things were normal aside from the messy house, but as you spent more days in that place, strange things began to happen that eventually led to you running away for your life. That is the basic premise of The Caregiver. Developed and published by Chilla's Art, The Caregiver is a psychological horror game that revolves around a caregiver assigned to assist an elderly man living alone in a dirty and broken down house. The assignment appears simple enough, focusing on daily support and ordinary caregiving duties, but as the day goes on, strange and terrifying things begin to happen to our protagonist. It was harmless at first, but eventually her life was threatened because of a secret that she should never have found out. Now she must find a way to escape, otherwise she will be killed. The game begins by showing us two women inside a break room. Tomita Sachie, 26 years old, and Kuramoto Naomi, 22 years old. Both of them are working as caregivers. Sachie noticed that Naomi was always sleeping but understood that she must have been tired doing all of this since Sachie was also in that position once. She then quietly exited the room and went to the receptionist's desk. There, she met the receptionist, Risako, who asked if she was heading out now. Sachie nodded and told her that she was heading to Soichi's place today because his daughter suddenly called and informed her that she couldn't come because of an emergency. Before leaving, she asked Risako to wake Naomi up and remind her that she shouldn't be sleeping while on the job. Risako then for some reason started revealing some information about Naomi's past. Apparently, when she was still a baby, Naomi was abandoned by her parents in a tunnel in the middle of the forest. Thankfully, she was discovered by a couple of urban explorers and was brought to safety. The police couldn't find out who her parents were, so she was put in an orphanage where she would eventually be adopted by a kind family. Risako would continue gossiping about Naomi, but this only made Sachie uncomfortable, so she asked her to stop and excuse herself. When Sachie left the building, it was already dark outside. Still, the darkness didn't stop her. She continued on and eventually reached Soichi's home. She knocked on the door several times and waited, but since no one answered, she assumed the family was busy and entered herself. In the bathroom, she smelled something strange, and for some unknown reason, someone had managed to put a plank inside the bathroom to seal it off. For now, she dismissed those weird things and tried to find Soichi, but no matter where she looked, she couldn't find him. It was only after she stepped outside that she noticed him sitting on his wheelchair and looking through the window. Sachie was startled by this and immediately went back inside to talk to him. She tried asking why he scared her like that and then asked about his children, but instead of answering, Soichi just stayed silent and urinated as she talked. Sachie immediately went to the bathroom to grab a towel that was on top of the washing machine and wiped the floor. She then attempted to clean the house because of the smell, but the more she cleaned, the stronger the smell get. Unable to contain her curiosity, she followed it and it led her to the second floor. When she opened one of the rooms to look inside, this happened. A strange figure could be seen sitting on a bloody tatami mat making movement to get up. Sachie fell backwards on the floor, unaware that a large creature stood behind her. The game then cuts to Kuromoto Naomi the very next day. As she was about to head out, Risako stopped her and told her about Soichi and wondered if she could take care of him since they're currently short-staffed because of Sachie who couldn't come to work anymore. When Naomi asked why, Risako told her not to worry because Sachie was probably facing a relationship issue. Naomi wasn't thrilled about taking care of someone since she had never done it before, but Risako encouraged her because according to her, everyone had to start from somewhere. After reading Soichi's information, Naomi headed to his place. On her way there, she met a monk who told her that she had a good soul and urged her not to hesitate to come to the temple should she ever need help. Arriving at Soichi's house, Naomi found him sitting in front of the irori, a Japanese fireplace. She tried greeting him but he didn't respond to her at all. But still, Naomi told him why she was there and what she would be doing from now on. As time went by, many disturbing things started to happen, such as a boiling kettle and a running sink turning on by themselves. The television kept showing a white screen and letting out deafening static sound, and a crow violently slamming itself into the window, killing itself upon impact. I'm sorry for laughing, but that seriously caught me off guard. Why did you make that sound? While Naomi was trying to open the bathroom door, she saw someone inside the house with Soichi. Worried for him, she immediately returned inside, only to find out that Soichi was not in the house. In a panic, Naomi looked everywhere and eventually managed to find him outside of the house looking at something. But since she couldn't see what it was, she dismissed it as nothing and took him back inside to get him washed up. The day then ends with Soichi going to bed and Naomi picking up a package and putting it on the kitchen table. The next day, before heading out to work, Naomi went up to Risako and told her about how she felt uneasy since none of Soichi's family members were ever at home. Risako thought about it for a bit and suggested that she read Sachi's work diary as it contained some information on Soichi. When Naomi found the diary, she was shocked to read its content. The diary detailed Sachi's experience taking care of Soichi. On the first day, she wrote that she could smell something unpleasant in the house, yet she didn't pay any mind to it. As the day went by, the smell became unbearable and she also started hearing scratching and banging throughout the house. Finally, on the 5th day, Sachie wrote that she discovered the 2nd floor and saw a grandma inside the room. She then felt cold and decided to not come to work the next day. Naomi, determined to know why, decided to visit her. When she got to her apartment, she could see Sachie sitting on her bed mumbling something. She asked if she was okay, to which she answered that she felt a bit cold. Naomi then made her a cup of hot tea and explained to her that she was now in charge of Soichi and wanted to know about his family. Before she got an answer, Sachie suddenly became erratic and told her to leave her place. Naomi was taken aback by the sudden change in personality and quickly left. Seconds later, she heard a loud scream and witnessed Sachie leap to her death. The next day, as she was preparing to leave for Soichi's place, an eerie atmosphere surrounded her workplace. She walked around the nursing home but failed to find anyone. This was not good. For some reason, she had a bad feeling about this and immediately rushed to Soichi's place. Naomi remembered that Sachie wrote in her work diary about seeing something on the 2nd floor. With this information, as soon as she arrived at his home, she immediately went up there and entered the room. Inside the room, she found an altar sealed with red string, a crowbar, and a bloody note that said, "Good things come from beneath the floor." This letter pointed towards an underground area which is accessible just below the room where Naomi found the letter. Going down into this vast cave system, Naomi found an area blocked off with red string with dead crows piled into it. She also saw someone wearing a tengu mask tied to a pillar. A bloody note was placed here as well. The note read, "The time of the deed have been engraved to the elderly clocks. The mother got stabbed while preparing dinner and the clock struck 3:30. The girl was strangled when she was coming back from school and the clock struck 8:10. The boy got pushed down the stairs and the clock struck 5:40. The father pushed down from the window and the clock struck 11:50. The gods will aid when the timepiece align." After she read the note that gave her instruction on how to end this ritual, Naomi was chased by a grandma with no eyes holding a knife. Alright, side note here, Chilla's arc love chase sequence, so here we have to avoid this thing from catching us while also running around the house and changing the clock according to the notes in order to obtain an item. Thankfully, the AI is buggy, so sometimes this grandma will get stuck, and when that happens, you can go past her directly without being attacked. After setting the clocks to the correct time, the box down on the 1st floor opens, revealing a ceremonial dagger. Naomi then used the dagger to stab the person tied on the pillar and discovered the person to be none other than Soichi himself. She then brought him down from the pillar where he reveals that he was cursed the entire time and that curse didn't allow him to speak. A raven was after him and was using the soul of his wife to complete itself. The raven was capable of interacting with the dead and it uses that ability to bring his wife's soul back into his world. The condition to complete the summoning was for the dead to perform the ritual on the person they loved the most. Soichi asked Naomi to free his wife's spirit by getting his wife's bone box out of the house. This would make the raven back away. He then gave her a pair of scissors saying that it could cut through anything and told her about the box inside the altar. The altar that we saw on the 2nd floor, sealed with red string. As Naomi tried to leave the caves, she saw Soichi's wife kneeling on the ground with a knife lodged in her throat, causing her to bleed and leaving a large stain on her clothes. She wouldn't do anything anymore here, so Naomi was free to leave. Anyway, Naomi continued to the second floor. There, she located the altar and took the bone box with her, but as she was about to leave, the raven appeared and trapped her in a dimension with unending rooms. Running away like her life depended on it, Naomi eventually managed to escape from the raven and ran as fast as she could to the temple. When she arrived there, the monk instantly knew what was going on and immediately asked for the bone box. After performing a ritual and burying the bone box, the soul of Soichi's wife was finally free. The game ends with Soichi visiting his wife's grave along with Naomi, but as the camera zooms in, we see that Soichi had grown a pair of black wings, indicating that he might not have escaped the curse after all. So, what exactly happened in the Caregiver and what does the raven signify? Well, to understand the story of this game, let's first talk about the Tengu. Towards the end of the game, we encounter Soichi tied to a pillar wearing a red mask. This mask is a Tengu mask. This mask is a traditional Japanese mask representing the Tengu, a legendary yokai from Japanese folklore and Shinto mythology. In the Caregiver, the monster that we're facing are called Karasu Tengu. Now, the Karasu Tengu is depicted as a malicious harbinger of war and chaos, but they're also protector of nature with a mastery over elements, mostly wind and weather. Folk tales often describe them as magical teachers who train human heroes and samurai in secret arts and combat. Now, that's the brief history of the Karasu Tengu. In the Caregiver, the Karasu Tengu is depicted as an evil demon that appears after Soichi's wife Haori summoned it. She did this out of a desperate desire to be reunited with him after her death. The summoning was successful and the Karasu Tengu appeared, but remember, the Karasu Tengu is an evil being in this game, so instead of helping Haori, the Tengu put a curse on Soichi and his family. The bloody note that we found in the underground cave suggests that the Karasu Tengu had killed every one of Soichi's family member. The Karasu Tengu also reanimated the corpse of his wife so that she could not only complete the ritual but also stop anyone from interfering with it. When Soichi was found in the underground cave by Naomi, we saw him wearing a Tengu mask, confirming the demon was attempting to possess his body. But in the last minute, Naomi managed to save him and free Haori's soul from the Karasu Tengu. Happily ever after, right? Well, not exactly. This is where things get disturbing. At the end, we see black wings appearing on Soichi's back, then it cuts to black and then we see the Tengu saying, "What a shame. He was already gone before you step into the house. What a shame." Now, why did it start saying that? Well, looking at the wording, there's only one logical conclusion. Soichi was already dead the day when Naomi took over Sachie's work. In fact, he might have been dead even before that. Remember what happened when we play as Sachie? She mentioned that Soichi stopped talking one day and around the same time she started noticing a terrible smell in the house that she couldn't locate. In her work diary, she mentioned that she kept smelling something rotten and that smell persisted throughout the 5 days she worked there. Each passing day, the smell got even stronger to the point where it was unbearable. That smell is none other than Soichi's rotting corpse. But then, why did he appear alive? Well, given how the Tengu managed to reanimate Haori's dead body and manipulate her soul, we can conclude that the Tengu did the same thing to Soichi as well. It also meant that Naomi and Sachie was taking care of a corpse all this time, but at the end of the day, all of that was in vain because the ritual was a success and the Tengu obtained a new body. But hey, at least Soichi did something good in the end. He freed his wife from the Tengu. Lastly, let's talk about Sachie and why she jumped to her death. This one is pretty easy. In her diary, she mentioned how she saw a grandma, which doesn't make sense until you finish the game. Here's what exactly happened. On the last day that we got to play as her, Sachie saw Soichi's wife Haori resurrected from the dead. This deeply traumatized her and she began having nightmares, which is a bad thing because it made things easier for the Tengu to manipulate her fear and slowly break her mind. It got so bad that the mere mention of Soichi's name triggered that fear, and unable to take it anymore, she decided to take her life. Thank you everyone so much for watching. The Caregiver is an interesting game because it shows that even a job that is as simple as taking care of the elderly can be scary. I'm gonna cover more of their game because Chilla's art's horror is pretty unique. I saw a title where it's literally about the horror of working as a barista or as a content creator. Their type of horror is unique and I want more of that. Let me know if you want to see more content from Chilla's Art's game covered here. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Like the video if you enjoyed it and check out my previous video if you haven't yet. That's all for me. See you.